Hello, my friends, and welcome to our first 5-minute tips. We're going to take 5 minutes and talk about something in D&D or tabletop RPGs. And today I wanted to take the time to answer one of the most frequently asked questions that I get over on my TikTok, which is, how do I start playing Dungeons & Dragons? Now, at least one video for every 3 that I do over on TikTok, there is a slew of comments of, I'm interested in D&D, but I don't know where to start. Now, I know that everyone on the internet is going to try and sell you a list of some kind, a top 10 tools to have for your first D&D session, including minis and maps and dice and all these other things. And hell, you might even get some influencers who try to sell you these things through affiliate links. So that can get really annoying and cumbersome and kind of detract from just getting started playing. So I'm here to tell you that you actually, in fact, only need one thing, and that is a party. Whether this is yourself, a group of friends, your family, or maybe some individuals you met on the internet that share a common interest, you have to have players to begin play. Now, I understand this might be the most difficult piece for some people to find, but over the TTRPG boom that has happened over the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of different avenues of play have come to be. You can head over to Google and just look up Discords with looking for a group in them, and you'll find dozens, if not hundreds, of Discords just like ours, where there's a channel or a focus on looking for a group or accepting new players. You can also head over to Roll20 and click down on their Join a Game tab, and there is a wall of DMs looking to have different kinds of players join different kinds of stories. And if all that fails, you can always look to your local game store. Head on in and ask the person behind the counter if there are any local DMs that play in the store that might be looking for a new player. Or maybe there's a DM that specializes in bringing on new players. And now, I know I just threw out a bunch of different options there. I, of course, will always provide links down in the descriptions of my videos to things that I reference in the video to make it easier for you to find. So where I won't link out to the thousands of different Discords that potentially exist, I will link to a few, including ours, that you can join. Now, D&D does recommend anywhere from 4 to 5 players for every 1 DM or Dungeon Master. But just like the TTRPG boom saw a ton of new avenues open up for play, we also saw the boom open up the ways that we play. Where if you head to sites like the DM's Guild or Drive-Thru RPG, you can find solo journaling RPGs. Or you can find D&D Duets, which is 1 player and 1 DM. And you can even find guides and rules for Westmarch-style campaigns where dozens of different groups will influence the world and the story at whole. So once you have established your crew or decided to take the TTRPG/Dungeons & Dragons journey on your own, you need to figure out what kind of story you want to tell. Do you want to tell a Western story? Or maybe you want to play a sci-fi exploration game of adventuring on vast and unknown planets. And this is where you need to decide if Dungeons & Dragons is the best system for your story, or if maybe there's another TTRPG out there that facilitates play a little bit better for these genres and themes. D&D is a massive marketing machine that boasts being the best RPG in the world, but that isn't inherently true. Where it does have a vast array of rules and mechanics for play, they're not always the best ones for anything outside of, well, high fantasy. There's very little in the way of gun mechanics within Dungeons & Dragons, and even their ship rules are hyper convoluted, so doing either a Western or a pirate-themed campaign can be pretty difficult. Now, it is good to note that the basic rules, the most fundamental basic rules to play Dungeons & Dragons, is available for free on Wizard of the Coast website. There is a link down in the description below that allows you to start playing today. It goes over the different action economy, the classes, how to build a character, what encounters look like, how combat works, the whole 9. So you can pick that up for free. It's a PDF on their website, and you can dive into Dungeons & Dragons today. Once you have your party and you have figured out the story you want to tell, and you've decided that Dungeons & Dragons is the best system to do this story in, well, the next step is just figuring out the rules. And know that Dungeons & Dragons has printed 49 books. Upwards of millions of words of rules and mechanics and different classes and characters for you to play with. And I say this all not to give you information overload and scare you away, just kind of setting the expectation that mastering Dungeons and Dragons rules is pretty unrealistic. It's not impossible, and there are those out there that have mastered the rules, but not everyone will. Heck, I barely remember how grappling works most times. That all to be said, D&D is just the most recent evolution of group storytelling that the human race has been doing since the dawn of time. And with that, there's no hard or fast way that a game can be played or should be played. It's going to change and vary from person to person and group to group. So the easiest way is to just dive on into it. Now, if this has been remotely helpful in just kind of narrowing down where to look for a group, I highly suggest you hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because this series is going to be ongoing. We're going to dissect and talk about different parts of the game. Like the next episode, we're going to be talking about Session 0 and why it is the most important tool in the DM's toolbook. And until then, happy adventuring, my friends.